A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into our Thursday edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. We'll be joined by the radio audience in just about a minute here as we get things underway at Quaker Steak and Lube, now 2 days away from the start of the 2024 campaign for the Penn State football team. The Nittany Lions, most projections have them 10-2, third in the Big Ten Conference, Ohio State and Oregon, or Oregon and Ohio State, depending on which experts you're listening to, expected to finish 1-2 in the conference this year. We're happy to have you along here on this Thursday afternoon as we get you set for the weekend. And really, the college football season will get underway tonight, and it'll be interesting to see how there's a few games of I think particular interest in college football tonight, and it's actually a pretty full schedule of games that are on the slate here for this Thursday night action. And we will see three ranked teams in the top 25 in action tonight, and we will see three Big Ten teams in action on this Thursday night. Rutgers will be leading things off for the Big Ten.
Correct.
As the Scarlet Knights get underway at 6 o'clock in a showdown with Howard. Howard and Rutgers will get all of the Thursday action underway this evening. One of the more intriguing games, I think, is Minnesota-North Carolina, Goon, because, and I know Booch was talking a little bit about it in the late lunch program, but both of these teams are, it feels like could go up in flames this year. But I think both programs feel, and both teams feel like they could end up putting this together and having a decent year. I mean, I don't think either are of the thought process that, hey, if everything goes right, we'll be in the national title mix. But, you know, I think they both probably go in thinking 8-4, 9-3 is possible. I also think when you look at the overall situation, and really with both conferences, the ACC to me,
this is what I want to talk
for
about.
all of the intrigue of the Big Ten and the SEC, and there's lots of intrigue there for sure, especially with the new teams coming in and all of that. But the ACC, to me, is maybe the most unpredictable, and depending on how this opening weekend goes, especially following on the heels of the loss last week by Florida State to Georgia Tech, like this thing feels like it could be wide open as the season progresses. While I think there are a lot of intriguing storylines, I think most of us are expecting, okay, yeah, there's lots of things that could happen, but Georgia is going to be there at the end of the day in the SEC. Now, there might be some variance on who else will be there in the SEC. And the overwhelming majority of folks are expecting Ohio State and Oregon to be there in the Big Ten at the end of the year. If anybody is to crash that party, most are penciling in Penn State as the team that could do that. The ACC, Florida State and Clemson, I think, are certainly teams that most are expecting will be contending. But we've talked about a little bit, Goon. Virginia Tech has a really veteran team coming back. Most of their starters are back. And I think Brent Pry has done a great job of building the culture down there and kind of targeting this season as maybe a year where they could have a bit of a breakthrough.
Yeah. So the whole ACC, Jeff, to me is, I called you Jeff, by the way. You're not in trouble.
That's all right. Jeffrey Scott is how I know I'm in trouble. Jeffrey Scott, you get in here.
For real?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
That's when I know
if my mother called me Keith right off the get, not three other my brother's names.
If the Scott was thrown in there, then I knew I had done something.
If a friend calls
wrong.
me Keith and not Goon, I get scared. But, you know, I really, truly believe that this could be like a dress rehearsal for these ACC teams to, hey, like Virginia Tech goes out and have a great season, makes them a little bit more, because they've been left out of this conversation, in my opinion, Virginia Tech, of SEC, Big Ten, who's going to join Florida State, Clemson when they jump. But North Carolina is one of those schools that the Big Ten and the SEC both want them. But Virginia Tech is out there like, they could run the tape. I'm telling you, they have a very favorable schedule. I got to give all that credit goes to Booch, because he's been talking about Tech for a while about how good a schedule that they have going into the season. But tonight's game, it's Mac Brown. I mean, it's an old. Just think about Joe Torres later in his career when he still was that wise old man, and he could still win some big football games. And I think that's going to happen tonight. And Minnesota might be in some trouble.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say PJ Fleck's star has has fallen.
I think PJ realized that a couple of years ago that, like, hey, I'm not going to get this done here, and he was trying to jump ship himself, in my opinion.
I think that,
and I just realized that he came to the conclusion a year or two ago, like, okay, I'm maxed out. I can't take this team any farther than I have had them. So it's a big game for both of those teams, and the ACC in general is what I wanted to. Like I told you, I'm watching two teams this year: Ohio State and Colorado. I want to see how Ohio State reacts, because if Ohio State runs the table and proves to everybody right that you can spend $30 million and go win a national title, then there's going to be 80 teams out there looking to spend $30 million. Now, if they go out and they crash, and which is what me and you suspect could happen, and that is that these are now paid athletes. And if they're not going to play for a national title and they have their money coming to them, they're not playing for the love and pride of the school. That's how I think about the mercenary type of. Yeah. Now, Ohio State is pretty good. Oregon, I would say, with Phil Knight with the deep pockets, putting as much money in the NIL as those coaches want. That's another team I'm going to be looking at. And again, I don't want the team that spends the most money going out there and just destroying people, because it just sets a horrible precedence. But we're well. I mean, the 1 foot is already in the cement with precedents being set. So if they go out, win this national title as Ohio State or Oregon, because of all the money that they spent on the players and recruits, it's a horrible, horrible thing that's going to happen to college football. Even worse than we're at right now.
Yep. I think all of that is true. And
I don't think Tech gets enough respect nationwide, by the way, going back to Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a hell of a program. And they had it going for a long time. And it started when I was in college. In 94 was when they really came out. They really busted out of that shell. And Pry has bought that, fandom back down there.
Yeah. Again, while I think there are tremendous storylines in the SEC and the Big Ten, and I think that's where your national champion is going to come from, and where the majority of your, maybe the entirety of your Final Four and all of that is going to come from. I do think the ACC right now feels to me like just almost anything could happen. Georgia Tech, and again, we'll see how it plays out. Maybe they're going to end up 6-6 at the end of the day, but they feel right now in the moment like, man, that offense now might have enough on defense to actually get them in the conversation.
Correct.
I will tell you, North Carolina State is sky high. In their fan base and that program, they feel like they are ready to make that next step, and
they're auditioning for the big moves if they're going to get picked up. And I mean, you're not going to sit there and say if NC State goes 10-2, people are going to look at that in the Big Ten and the SEC and say, okay, well, we don't want to let these guys slip through our finger cracks, through the cracks. And
listen, Bill O'Brien, as Boston College, they get Florida State. Now they have to make the trip down there to Tallahassee, and I don't think that's a great spot for Boston College to be in, where, one, Florida State has a game under its belt. Secondly, they've now had a little time to make the adjustment, get back home, kind of look at the tape and figure everything out, and they are going to be, I think, chopping at the bit to get the taste out of their mouth from that Georgia Tech game. So not a great spot for Bill O'Brien, but obviously would love to
having been in the coaching world, Jeff.
Yep.
It is so hard right now. I'm going to tell you, Florida State's got to be on the upset watch. I'm telling you, because they're coming off of a very bad loss in Ireland. It's 8 days later. Well, actually, it'd be 9 because they're playing Monday night.
Yeah.
And you're going against a Bill O'Brien coach team. So you're going to have to go back and look at Alabama's offenses, Penn State back in the day. I mean, this is when you're coaching against a new coaching staff. You don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And you know Bill has a mind on him that he can put some stuff out there. I mean, think about what we did here. He had Zordish and Zwinak running tailback for us at one point. You know what I mean? Just he goes, we don't have the receivers. Okay, we got to play smash mouth football. Let's go. Let's roll it out there and do that. Florida State does not know what Boston College is going to do. So they're watching Alabama tape. They're watching Houston Texan tape, Penn State tape from back in the day, and Patriot stuff. It's a tough game for them to get into. And then Florida State already has a game on that Boston College is broken down. An hour after that game was broken down, and they knew exactly what Florida State is.
Yeah,
it could be, and I've always said it's tough to play at home when you're coming off of a loss because you need that fandom. You need those fans to keep you guys rallied up. And then we'll talk about this with Penn State this week, and that is that if Boston College can withstand early on what Florida State's going to, they're going to want to go out there and just set the tone. If Boston College can hold that, resist that, start getting blown out, I really think that the Florida State fans might turn on the team after last week's performance. And then
now you're getting me excited because I'm pulling for BC.
Absolutely.
I think Florida State is going to win it pretty handily, but you have me at least thinking that it's possible.
We'll get into Penn State and all that, but I'm saying on Saturday afternoon about 1:00 when it's early in the second quarter and West Virginia's fans, they were going crazy the whole first quarter, but if Penn State puts 14 up and is up 14-0, they saw all of a sudden start backing down a little bit. Like, okay, we're gonna get killed here. But if they go out there and score 14 on Penn State, that's a 4-quarter game that Penn State's gonna have to worry about. Fans get a little crazy, man.
Couple of other things that I think in the Big Ten that are going to be really intriguing to watch. We mentioned Ohio State and Oregon are widely considered to be the two teams. One of those two will win the conference. One of those two will be a top 4 seed, and et cetera, et cetera. Penn State, most people, I went through about 5 different sites yesterday, and they all had Penn State as one of the playoff teams here in 2024. So the expectation is clearly there. And I want to get to expectations in a moment or at some point here in the program as well and how that kind of plays into everything. Because we had a little bit of an interesting discussion, I thought, this morning about that on our Let's Talk program here. And I want to pick up on that and just talk a little bit about the way those expectations can play into the perceptions of a season. But that battle for 4th in the Big Ten. Now, I think the consensus is Michigan has that spot. But more and more folks, with everything that is kind of surrounding that Michigan program now and some of the uncertainty with Sharon Moore and kind of what this is going to look like with the sanctions and his role in it and all of that, I think that there are probably at least 3 other teams and maybe a couple more than that you could make a pretty reasonable argument that, this team, with just a couple of things going their way, not crazy pie in the sky type of thinking, they could end up there as the 4th best team in the conference. And some of it just comes down to scheduling. Can you get the wins? And we've discussed, Rutgers has a pretty clear path to 9 victories. I don't know if 9 gets you in this revamped league fourth with the schedule they have or not, but I think they're going to be in the mix. I think Illinois is a team that and they are they're the third Big Ten team that starts tonight. Rutgers again against Howard. Minnesota opens up against North Carolina. And also tonight, Illinois against East Illinois. Not expecting that result is going to be in doubt. But I am kind of curious with Brett Bielema now kind of establishing the guys he wants. I do think Bielema is a terrific football coach. I don't know where exactly you rank him on the overall pantheon of coaches right now, but I think he's up there. I think he's a really good coach. I think he has a really good handle on what he wants to get accomplished. And I think Illinois, I'm really curious to see if they're able to make a move this year. I think Matt Rule in Nebraska is a team that is really worth watching. Iowa and Wisconsin are both teams that, I'm seeing more and more people, and I think Wisconsin loves being the team that more people are, 9th, 10th in the conference. That seems to me, when the expectations are a little lower at Wisconsin, it seems like they step up. And then I think USC is really the only team of the four coming in from the Pac-12 that has a chance to outside of Oregon. Obviously, again, Oregon I think is going to be one of the top two. But USC is a team that and I think it's a capital I, capital F, because I'm not at all convinced they're going to be able to get things solved well enough on the defensive side of the ball to be able to make this thing work in the Big Ten. But I have seen a couple of folks say, I think USC is going to have a surprisingly good year and that they'll be 4 or 5 in the conference. So there's a bunch of teams. I think Michigan State, Maryland are both teams. I think Maryland's going to be solid. I don't think they're going to be battling for 4th, but who knows? Again, Mike Loxley has his guys down there. And I think Michigan State is a team. It's a program that has the resources to make a move. I'll be interested to see kind of how that transition goes this year. I think they'll come out on the other side okay. I just don't know that it's going to be okay necessarily this year. I think they're going to trend in the right direction. I'm not expecting that they're going to trend well enough this quickly to be up there and contending for a 4 or 5 spot in the conference just yet.
We'll know rather soon about USC.
Well,
as in Sunday night after they play LSU.
Yes. And
that is going to be a very, very big tell of what kind of season USC is going to have.
Although I do caution, while I agree with you, we tend as fans, as media, to overreact big time to what we see in that opening week.
What, you mean
whether
Colorado
it's college football or the NFL or anything else? And I go back, Penn State last year handled West Virginia. Drew Aller spread the ball around. Receivers were making plays. It's like, man, this passing game, look out. It's going to be phenomenal.
What a difference.
And then not so much. Aller was good. The receivers not, and the offense as a whole, not so much, especially in the big moments. So we don't know necessarily, even if USC somehow blows out LSU, which that would shock me. But if they win it or they're competitive, you still have to wait and see. All right, well, is LSU who we think they are? Can USC develop off of that, et cetera, et cetera? Georgia Tech is, for me, the case in point right now. Like, I was very impressed Saturday with Georgia Tech. Well, was that a one-game thing? Was it Florida State just hasn't learned to play together yet? Is it Florida State's overrated? They're not that good of a team? Or is Georgia Tech's defense legitimately significantly improved? And, their offense was legit a year ago and has basically everybody back. So that side of the ball you feel pretty good about if you're Georgia Tech. But we'll have to wait and see in the coming weeks whether, again, that was just they put it all together one day. they have general improvement, or they maybe are better, but also Florida State is not what we thought.
Go to last year opening weekend. Oh my God, Prime has Colorado turned around big time after they whooped Nebraska.
Yeah, but I don't think. I mean,
that's what people thought Nebraska was that good.
Yeah,
and it was like, oh my God, they destroyed Nebraska and then Nebraska goes up and has a losing season.
Yeah,
so you can't get, like you just said, you just can't get that feel right off the gate because you don't know about the other team. So I am extraordinarily interested to see how Georgia Tech does. Actually, I'm a fan of them right now because of how the players were playing for that coach.
Yeah.
Obviously, as an offensive lineman, he sees the game different and coaches the game different. But like I told you, after that game, you could tell that those players loved him. They absolutely loved him. They were all and he didn't care. He didn't care that he was doing an interview and the players were there. He would stop the interview right there and hug a player. And I was like, I like that. I really do. So I'm very interested to see how Georgia Tech does, just to see what last week was. Was last week a fluke? But I also told you what I thought about that Florida State game, and that is that they went in there. It's not uncommon, like we did in 1995. Like we got to make up for last year in one game. It was the worst thing that could have happened to Florida State, and that happened to them. So we're going to see how they bounce back.
That is for sure. We will see that.
Gotta love it, though, man. You gotta love it.
It is
22 weekends.
Exciting to have college football back. As far as the Penn State West Virginia matchup, Goon, there are several things, and it is. I'm really intrigued by the line coming down as much as it has from where it opened. And it opened at 12 and a half earlier this summer. And it's down to 8 in several books, at least down to 8.5, I think, everywhere now. And while I think Eric Green is a terrific quarterback and a great athlete and gives you a lot of cause for concern if you're an opposing defense. And I understand that Penn State has really 3 new coordinators, special teams, as well as offensive and defensive. And Penn State lost some key players. There's no question. Lost a lot of NFL talent in the secondary and along the offensive line. But when you look at the way Penn State pretty well handled that game. I know it wasn't out of reach, but you never really got the sense. I don't think even West Virginia fans were sitting there watching. It's like, oh man, I think we're about to pull this off. Like it was a competitive game, but it was not like nail biting. Oh my gosh, West Virginia is right here type of stuff. And so I get West Virginia's home. I get it's a huge deal down there. We talked about it on Tuesday. Pat McAfee and having Fox there, all a big deal, all exciting. But West Virginia, first of all, lost some talent too off of last year's team. And this is not a program that has been challenging. Again, I know Penn State fans are frustrated with the 10-2, but 10-2 in the Big Ten compared to what West Virginia has been doing in the Big 12. And West Virginia has been holding its own, but not making a run at Big 12 titles. And you have Drew Aller back as a more experienced quarterback now. And while you do have the 2 new coordinators, and I think you're figuring there's got to be some adjustment there. I also look at who those coordinators are and look at the track record of what they do. And I get Tom Allen's record as a head coach. It's Indiana. But look at the defensive schemes and the problems that defense with lesser talent than certainly what he has here, but then probably over half of the conference. And then what Andy Kotelnicki did with Kansas, I think it's surprising to me that there are as many people thinking this is going to be a really tight game. Now, could end up West Virginia could win it outright. It's college football, crazy things happen. But one of the things that Penn State did really well, and Drew Allard did really well last year, was take care of the ball. In opening games, if you win the turnover battle and you win the penalty battle and you have more talent, you're going to win that matchup somewhere over 95% of the time. More talent, fewer turnovers, fewer penalties. Penn State was good on the penalty front, not outstanding. Good last year, great on the turnover front, and they just have the better team. I think it's by far the deeper team. Penn State is going to be able to keep fresh legs in there. And I just think with Kotelnicki and with Tom Allen, they have a coaching staff that will make whatever in-game adjustments they need to. And you always need to make in-game adjustments. You go in with a game plan, and then this team throws that wrinkle. I have supreme confidence, and we'll see how well-founded it is as the game plays out on Saturday and then as the season plays out. But I think they have two exceptionally good coaches in terms of, all right, let's, like Kotelnicki has talked about, we are running stuff early with the idea of setting stuff up later. I think much the same thing with Tom Allen and that defense. There are so many different things that I think they can do, different ways they can utilize the talent.
I'm so interested
guys.
to see.
And, we talk a lot about blitz packages with the passing game, and you're confusing the quarterback. I think Tom Allen is one of the better defensive coaches at run blitzing. At Indiana, they did a great job of creating opportunities for their defense to go make plays, even when they were outmanned, when they did not match up physically well with opponents.
Sure.
I think with this defense, Tom Allen has to be licking his chops at the opportunity to get these guys in position to go make plays.
Just the caliber of player that he is dealing with right now versus what he has in the past. I mean, just think about that. He wakes up in the morning and says, I don't have guys from Indiana now. I have Penn State defensive players playing for me right now. Oh, what he thought would have worked and done very well with at Indiana, it may be great here. Because we are a better team, better athlete type of thing than he's normally used to. But I'm interested, and I don't know. I have not met Coach Allen as of yet, but I would love to see if he at all had contacted the Dallas Cowboys, and because I'm thinking about Abdul Carter right now, guys. He's Micah Parsons 2.0. There's no doubt. It's the same player out there. Now, Micah, when he goes to the NFL, they have him at a defensive end position. They have him at linebacker position. They move Abdul back down the defensive end. But will they have some situations where he's be playing linebacker?
Oh, yeah.
I just said that. Think about that.
Yes.
And that's about having to prepare for that.
Yes. I completely. But it's not Abdul Carter is a great example, and certainly, but I think when you look at what they have in the secondary, I think even with their linebacking core, I think they can utilize guys differently than the standard, what you would expect from a standard position player.
Sure.
And I think they'll be able to drop even some of their defensive linemen into coverage. Again, here and there, you're picking your spots, but I think there's enough athleticism from, a guy like Denai Dennis Sutton. I mean, that guy, again, you're not going to have him covering wide receivers, obviously, but I'm saying he is athletic enough and can create enough problems. Again, maybe one or two times a game, maybe one or two times a season, but you can drop him back and rush an Abdul Carter or rush a Tony Rojas and just give a completely different look. It's like, and they can do that, I think, with their secondary, their linebackers, and their defensive line. They just have, I think, enough different types of personnel in all three of those groupings that can provide different looks and do different things depending on down situation, matchup with the opponent. I'm getting ahead of myself, and it's what I tend to do, and so we'll see how it plays out. But I think that the chess game that college football and football in general is, I think Penn State is better positioned this year to, I mean, Manny Diaz did a great job of it last year. I think both sides of the ball, Penn State, much more often than not, is going to win the chess game. Well, if you do that and you're starting with, again, in 11 of the games right now, Penn State is favored. I'll be surprised if going into any of those games, the line may change, but I think Penn State, when we get to the end of the season, there will be 11 games that they were favored in the week of.
I agree.
And I think Ohio State, they will be the underdog in.
Agreed.
Well, if that does play out that way, again, that means the general consensus is they have the better team in 11 of those games. The one that they don't, you're home, obviously going to be hungry. And I think Penn State, for the first time in a while, matches up as well or better than anybody, including Ohio State, on that schedule in terms of, man, we will be able to go toe-to-toe on the matchups and making adjustments as the game goes along.
I'm yawning. Jeez.
No worries.
I'm sorry.
You're bored already by the college football
one of
season.
the
crazy.
The biggest key to being dynamic on defense is your defensive backfield. If you have guys out there who are dogs and can cover and they can play, you can do so much with your front seven. So much more. You can blitz, you can zone blitz, you can drop in coverage and this and that. But if you feel secure enough with those back four that it's the sky is the limit when it comes to defensive stuff that you can do when you have a good defensive backfield. And we do. I mean, this is what I'm most interested in. I'm watching the offensive line as usual, but the defensive front, I mean, listen, I liked Manny Diaz. I think he was a heck of a guy, heck of a coach, but I will say this. Michigan came in here in week 11 or week 10, and they hurt their quarterback was hurt, and they ran the ball 34 straight times in the second half, and we could not stop that. I think Tom Allen can stop that.
Well, we'll see. I also think that was one of the great offensive lines and running games in college football.
We got to get into that after a break or whatever. Did you watch the Netflix thing?
No.
Oof. We'll talk about it in the next session. But yes, defensive backfield is huge for us this week, and that sets up the whole. As an offensive coach or a coordinator, if you know what the defensive backfield and the coverages are, it really breaks the defense down. If you are a good man team or a good zone team and you know how to do it and you're doing it right, there's so much you can do with your front seven.
Yeah, and I do think I think the biggest acquisition in the transfer portal, and I think Julian Fleming was a great get. I think Nolan Rucci was important. AJ Harris is the guy Goon, that I think when you talk about difference makers and guys that can completely impact a game, Harris is a guy. Listen, you lost 2 NFL quarterbacks. They're at least going to be on rosters, practice squad, whatever, but they're going to be in the NFL this year. It looks like, anyway. Kalen King, if you didn't see, did sign to the practice squad along with Sean Clifford yesterday, and a bunch of Nittany Lions. Daquan Hardy and KJ Hamler are both back with the Bills on the practice squad.
They cut them both.
But so I think when you look at the secondary was probably the greatest need, and I think they did a great job of going out and filling that need. And they were not devoid of talent anyway there, but I think they went out and got a couple of guys. But Harris, I think, is a guy that we're going to be talking a whole lot about as this season goes along. I know people are excited to see Tony Rojas at linebacker. I am too. I think Dennis Sutton is going to be Abdul Carter rightfully is getting a ton of attention. I think in part because of the attention he gets. Dennis Sutton is an athletic phenom in his own right. That has the potential to be one of the great 1-2 end punches in all of college football.
Can't double them both
this season. And so, so there's talent across the board, no question. The safeties are going to be difference makers as well. But I just think kind of almost the forgotten player, and in part maybe just because we haven't seen him here, I think A.J. Harris is going to have a huge impact on what Penn State is able to do with its defense in the upcoming season. We'll take a break here. You are listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We appreciate you coming along for the ride here on this Thursday afternoon. You're listening to Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half-century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
The State College Spikes are hitting the field all summer long. Enjoy fun, affordable family entertainment as the future of baseball is on display in Happy Valley. Spikes teams have something for everyone at the new-look Medler Field at LeBron Park. From great giveaways to fantastic deals, from special appearances to plenty of fireworks, all the way through September 3rd. For tickets, call 814-272-1711 or get the schedule and buy and download at statecollegespikes.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
And we welcome you back in here on this Thursday afternoon. We'll catch you by surprise.
It's upon us, buddy.
It is college football season. Big lineup tonight. Saturday, it's Penn State and West Virginia. A noon kickoff in Morgantown. And before we get back to college football talk, can we take a moment? Not a good day for Pennsylvania baseball yesterday. The Spikes locally here dropped a 4-2 contest to the Black Bears. The Phillies were shut out by the Astros. They were no hit through 7 innings and lost 10-0. But the Phillies, the Spikes have a winning record. The Phillies are in first place. They took 2 of 3 from the Astros in the series. The Pittsburgh Pirates, however, were swept by the Chicago Cubs. That's bad. They gave up 41 runs in a 3-game series. That's awful. But in Major League Baseball this season, there have been 353 games. Well, now 354 games in which a team had a 7-run lead or better in the 7th inning or later. And in those 354 games, the team that had that 7-run lead or better in the 7th inning or later won 353 times. The lone exception all season long came yesterday at PNC Park. The Pirates had their phenom, Paul Skeens, on the mound. Skeens looked somewhat human.
He wasn't,
Gave up a couple of earned runs, 3 runs in all. But he left the game with the Pirates in front, 10-3. Generally speaking, you're feeling pretty good about your chances at that point. Pirates still had the lead with 2 outs in the top of the 9th. And then proceeded to allow 5 more runs across, and the Chicago Cubs win in historic comeback fashion, 14-10 over the Pirates yesterday. Mercifully, for the first time in 2 weeks, 14 days, the Pirates do have an off day today. Now, they've had a bunch of off days throughout those 2 weeks, but like an actual scheduled no game off day. And they will open up a series against the Guardians in Cleveland tomorrow. And I'm not exactly sure. I know baseball, it's like you get blown out all the time. Not all the time. I mean, over the course of the season, pretty much every team, not pretty much, every team gets blown out somewhere along the way.
Correct.
Every team gives up a lead somewhere along the way. Every team bounces back, all of that. Not every team gives up a 7-run lead with their star pitcher out there and alienates a fan base to the extent that the Pirates did yesterday. And I don't know how you get your psyche right if you are the Pirates right now, but we'll see. I mean, again, you have to have a short memory in baseball.
Just move your best player out of his natural position into another position.
Yeah.
It's tomfoolery going on over there right now.
There's a whole lot going on.
I have to give you the story, Jeffrey.
Yep.
You see me over here smirking because Jeff Byers, GM of the Quaker Steak Lube.
Yep.
A great friend of the program and a great friend of ours. Called me Wednesday and said, hey, Skeens pitching tomorrow. Let's go down. I said, I got a business meeting tomorrow afternoon. I can't do it. But I watched every pitch. And I watched it.
Yep.
And then I called Jeff he called me and said, what are you doing? I said, hey, come on over, have a couple glasses of wine. I know you're at the game. He goes, no, I left. And he goes, I'm telling you this much right now. He goes, I grew up as a young man. My father said, you never leave a baseball game early. I don't care. That's just how it rolls.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, okay, he honors his father's wishes. But he said, when they pulled Skeens yesterday, Jeff Powers said, you know what? I've seen this movie a lot.
Yep.
And he got in his car and left. And the game wasn't even over, and he was already passed out tuna, calling me saying, I need to come over and have a few beers.
There you go.
Well, the good news is that Jeff got a phone call this morning from the Pittsburgh Pirates organization, wanted to know about his experience from buying tickets yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So his exact words were, some 19-year-old intern is going to hear some very, 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 very bad stuff here.
Introducing you to some new language.
Yeah, I get it. So, the Pirates game ended and it went right into the Phillies playing the Astros at 4:00. So he came over watching the Phillies, and I said, by the way, Jeff, it's the 6th inning, and they don't have a hit yet. So game finished at 10-0, and we were sitting there. It was later in the night. It was 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and we looked at Jeff, and I said, imagine this. Pirates blow a 7-run lead, and the Phillies come back from a 10-run lead, and that would be everything would all be about Pennsylvania baseball and on ESPN and Fox and all these stations and all would be the talk of the day of how stuff is going awry in Pittsburgh and how great it is going in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So in the 9th inning, Phillies get the first 2 guys on. Over me and Powers like, oh my God, this could happen. This could happen. Oh my gosh, because I referenced the Pirates announcer. Jeff says, I remember sitting in my house and listening to the broadcast and hearing the announcer, I forget his name.
Jim Rucker. Yeah.
Said if they lose this game, this was 1986 or 7 or something like that. He said, if they lose this game, I'll walk home. And I remember what he did. They lost the game. I think they were up 10 runs in the 1st or 2nd inning, and he made that to me. But he held up. But I was telling Powers, I was like, I remember that. That's going to happen tonight. The Phils are going to come back from a 10-run lead in the 9th inning. Get the first 2 guys on. I'm getting all jacked up. Like, oh my gosh, it's starting. And then they got a quick double play. So that ended rather fast. But yeah, the tale of 2 cities right there. It's like the Phillies, they lose the game, but they already won the series and stuff like that. You don't want to get smacked around like they did yesterday by Houston. Personally, you don't want that. You don't want that to happen. But you're still 5 games up in the division, going into a 4-game series versus the Atlanta Braves. So
in your home park.
Hope that doesn't carry over to the Braves, which I don't think will.
I don't either.
But yes, this is a very big series for the Phillies right now. But I was thinking about it. Like, you win 1 game of the 4. Okay, they win 3 of the 4. It's only a 2-game swing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's a 4-game sweep, that's a big step.
Yeah, then the division race gets really interesting really
quick. You win
quick.
1 of the next 4 games. The most you can lose is two games.
Yeah.
2 games of your lead. So,
but you're at home. If you just split the series again, you're still 5 up, and I think you're feeling.
I think that the Phillies are
extremely good.
I think the Taijuan Walker experiment is gone horribly awry, and they need to put him out the pasture. I think that was a big game for him last night. They were just like, just get us 5 innings, just give us 5. You're the 5th starter. Just try to give us 5. And he was just got blown away in 3 innings, just giving up knock after knock. So, and Houston's a damn good baseball team. So, I guess you got to expect it every once in a while. But, I hadn't watched the Buccos in a while. And I told you I do enjoy watching the Buccos, but not yesterday. That was very bad for you. That was
pretty painful. Pretty painful.
It was almost slow motion. It was almost like, no, they can't do this. I mean, they're not. They weren't chipping. I mean, they had like 7 hits in a row. They were just knocking the ball around.
It was bonkers.
Yes.
I mean, it really
bad.
Yeah, it's just.
I mean, it was a month ago before the trade deadline, and we were talking, wow, are the Pirates going to be buyers or sellers? And now they were only a game and a half out of the wild card at that point, and then they went on that West Coast trip, and then.
Yep, I can't believe it, as Livy Dunn tweeted out yesterday.
You broke Livy.
Believe it.
You broke Livy Dunn.
Ridiculous. We have David checking in. He's watching from Cedar Hill, Texas.
A part of
that's got to be a little warm this time of the year.
Well, we got to talk about that.
But
Saturday.
Thanks for tuning in.
Going to be a big one on Saturday, by the way. Did you talk to Bastardi at all?
Oh yeah.
What's the weather? I mean, there's
I don't know the weather
some
down
forecasts
there,
later in the day in Morgantown and Pennsylvania, obviously. That late afternoon thunderstorms and lightning and stuff. So I would not be surprised if this is one of those games that.
I thought you were asking about the Aggies and the Irish weather.
Oh,
I don't know. He's going to that one.
Yeah, he ain't shutting up about that. I mean,
I am rooting for his Aggies. I'll tell you that.
I think we all are.
Right-thinking people are. That's for sure.
I guess there are some weird people in this world. But yes, I'm going to give him a call after the show here and sit there and say, and what's he forecasting for the late afternoon out in Morgantown? Because that's going to be, if that delays the game, that puts a lot of pressure on Penn State. Because one, West Virginia's at home. We learned this at Michigan State 5-6 years ago. The home team has a significant advantage when there's a rain shortage or a lightning shortage at a football stadium. You don't talk about. I mean, they know where to go and get. If they have a 2-hour layoff, then you have to feed these kids. You know what I mean? These are fine-tuned engines. You got to keep them, powered up. So Michigan State's not going to go in and ask Penn State or West Virginia, hey, we're going down to the store to get a bunch of Gatorade and some granola stuff.
Can we help you out while we're there?
What do you guys want here? We got this round. We'll buy this round. That's not going to happen.
Oh,
so you're gonna sit in that little locker room that West Virginia has for their visiting team and have to wait out a rainstorm or a lightning storm, because they did not call the game. I told you in 1992, it was the hardest rain I've ever seen in my life at West Virginia. That game, the guy who films for Penn State, John Palmgren, was on top of the scoreboard shooting down, and the rain was so hard you could not make out that it was a football game going on because it was so heavily raining for about a 10-minute window. And then it went away and we finished them off. But we had to play through it. They didn't call the game or nothing.
Yeah.
No lightning.
Yeah.
But that's the big thing to worry about, was the lightning and all.
Yep.
But we were talking earlier about, I have a lot of us are talking right now. 15 of us, 16 of us are on just a group text talking about our reunion coming up. And we were talking about West Virginia and getting off that bus in West Virginia. And it doesn't matter your age or your sex when you're in West Virginia. You have the double fingers rocking at all times. I mean, we got off the bus and there was these grandmoms, bottles of shine in their hand, like 6 teeth in their heads between the two of them. And I heard language yelling at Joe that I have never heard before, during, or since that day, of what they were saying to him and how they were, what they were doing. And it was just like, oh my God, Grandma, it's like, relax. It's a football game. And oh my Lord. And then when the game was over, you went looking for Grandma and they were not to be found.
It is why I think it is a huge benefit for Penn State that this is a noon game and not a night game in particular.
Lubrication.
Lots of it.
They will. It doesn't matter with them. They might just go straight through the night, but
it could happen. Although the energy level at that point, it has to peter out a little bit. But it's not going to be the same. And that's not. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere.
Yes,
I think they are going to be super jacked, super noisy, but it's just like we talk about the whiteout at night at Beaver Stadium is just like anything else. Well, any stadium having a big night game, there's just a different energy that comes with that. There just is.
Yeah. Again, they've had all summer to figure it out, but they announced that they're going to wear their coal anthracite uniforms, black on black on black.
Yeah,
and it's 88 degrees out in a very hot, humid day. It's going to be. It could turn to be very ugly for the Mountaineers.
And with the Pat McAfee appearance and all that, you see that they're not having classes at West Virginia tomorrow. What does that remind you of? That when Maryland did that. Remember when Maryland? They're like, man, like
everybody at the game.
Like I think you can. There is such a thing as over hyping a game. Now Neil Brown, I think, is doing a good job. I think in the locker room, I don't know. He has said a couple of times.
I know what they're saying in the locker room. I know exactly what they're saying.
But he has said a couple of times leading into this, this clearly does not make or break our season. It is a big game. We embrace that. We want the opportunity to be on the big stage.
Correct.
But if we win this game, we haven't accomplished anything long term. And if we lose this game, all of our goals and hopes are still in front of us. So from that perspective, it is not an end all be all game. But I do think when you cancel classes like that, and I'm probably going overly hard on the Maryland situation, but I think Maryland just made that thing. It's one thing if you And maybe they do. Maybe they think that they truly match up. And listen, maybe I'll be surprised and they do. When you look at there is a reason. I know Penn State fans don't want to hear it. And I know Penn State fans think it's not the reason. But Ohio State has had more talent very consistently over the last decade than Penn State. Penn State's had a lot of talent. They've had a lot of really good players. Look at the drafts. Look at the NFL drafts. Look at where the Ohio State players go and the numbers, and where Penn State players go and the rounds. Penn State is very good. Up there, like with everything else, top 10. Ohio State is top 3.
Yep.
Well, and West Virginia, make no mistake, they have talent on that roster. They don't have the talent that Penn State has, not top to bottom. Now, turnovers, that one day where your team's off and this team's on, but James Franklin has done a very good job of getting his team ready. West Virginia does not have a great record in openers here. That's another component to this. And I think the fact that it is a noon kickoff also plays in Penn State's favor down there. I think the fact that it is an early season game, therefore will be hot, plays in Penn State's favor. And I may be in the minority thinking here. I actually think if there is rain, and if it does become a wet field, I think that plays in Penn State's favor. I know West Virginia is a terrific rushing team. I think that is a really good offense. We recorded the Jim Galati's Keystone Sports Network, and I'm going to give a lineup rundown here real quickly for our weekend as well in a moment. But he was asking me for my bold prediction for this game. And I think that Penn State is going to outrush West Virginia. I think is good, and I do. I think West Virginia has a really good line, offensive line, and I think they've got good backs, and I think Eric Green is terrific. I think Penn State, with what it is going to do schematically, and with what they have now on the offensive line, and with that running back room, and it's not just Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton. Obviously, they'll head up the charge. I think Penn State is going to break some really big runs here in this season opener, and I think at the end of the day, they'll win the rushing yardage battle.
That's a pretty good thing to look at the whole season. If we can outrush every opponent, I think we win every game. You know, it's a pretty good. I mean, I know it's a lot. That's a big thing about in the game of football, but specifically this year, yeah. I mean, again, we got to take them out, take the fans out of the equation by getting up early. We got to come out well, and historically, James has done great in openers. I mean, he has done. I mean, his fantastic how he opens games and during the season, and you know. I don't think we're going to – I mean, I always enjoyed going into a place like that. I mean, that's fun. That's the best part about it. Is going out there and
want that energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it's for you or against you. When you get onto and I think any athletic venue, you know, we're watching a little bit of the U.S. Open here. That has to be a thrill. And I don't care if you're the number one ranked player in the world or this is your first professional, major tournament appearance. There has to be a bit of a thrill when you walk out there and you look around. It's like, oh, man, this is a big-time event. Certainly college football. Again, any sport. When you get out there and there is a big crowd and you can feel the energy from it, again, whether it's for you or against you, you're like, all right, let's do this.
As a player, you can feel the electricity on the field. You can feel it pulsating down and onto the field, and that is a very, very loud place. Just so we are all the same group I told you about the rainstorm, and we're talking about the double fingers to Joe. It was also the loudest stadium we've ever played in. That's, I mean, Ohio State is pretty loud, but Michigan's a joke. West Virginia, where we all were in unison saying that it was always that. It was just constantly, the fans were just insane. It was a later night game, so maybe the lubrication did kick in for them back in '92. But it was a loud stadium and loud the whole game. And you can play, like I said, Ohio State can get loud, and Ohio State's been louder than the loudest thing I ever heard at times. But it's not a consistent roar. West Virginia is a consistent roar. I haven't gone to practice. Did you go over it all?
No.
I don't like doing that. People ask me all the time, do I go to practice? What are you doing? Or are you not watching? No. I don't want to. I mean, that's not my thing, man. I just don't. One, the thought of practice just makes me ill. And, I enjoy watching this team and watching Penn State play. But I don't need to go to practice and stuff like that. But I don't know if anybody has to. I'm sure he has absolutely the music just blasting on the microphones throughout, or the speakers throughout camp, especially this week right now.
Real quickly, our lineup tomorrow, and we'll have some other changes coming here for the rest of the season. But the lineup tomorrow, if we can get everything working the way it should be, we'll have Let's Talk with Scott Geezy and yours truly from 8 to 10 here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. And also, if you're listening to us streaming, it'll be at 987thefox.com, 987thefox.com. We'll have two pros and a cup of Joe with LeVar Arrington from 6 to 8 tomorrow morning. We'll have...
That's his normal show.
Let's Talk. That's his Fox show from... it's a 3-hour show. We pick up the first 2 hours of it with our local station.
Yep.
From 8 to 10, we'll have Let's Talk with Scott Geezy and yours truly. From 10 to noon, it'll be the Dan Patrick Show. Then noon to 1, it'll be Joe Lodnowski out of Oil City, but very Penn State focused. From 1 to 2, it'll be Late Lunch with Chris Buchanani. Hopefully you've been checking out that show. A lot of really good insight there on Penn State and college football in general. From 2 to 4 tomorrow, it will be Keystone Sports Network with Jim Galante. And then from 4 to 6, Jed Donahue. LeVar Arrington will have a Penn State preview show from 6 to 7. And that'll lead us into Center County Red Zone tomorrow night, where we will bounce from game to game with the Center County action. All 5 Center County teams are at home in their home openers tomorrow night. So that'll be from 7 to 10. And then we'll replay that second hour of the Keystone Sports Network, Jim Galante's show from 10 to 11 tomorrow night. On Saturday, we will have post-game action for you. Well, we'll have Jed Donahue's show from 8 to noon. We'll have post-game coverage within 10 minutes of the conclusion of the Penn State West Virginia game. Landon Tangwall and I will be breaking down the game and taking your calls, as well as we'll take a look at the Nittany Lions and the Mountaineers matchup. And on Monday, it is Labor Day, but the Goon doesn't care. He is going to be heading over to the Penn State golf courses, and the Penn State Players Show will make its debut here for 2024 and its debut on our radio station. We will have that for you from 6 to 7 on Monday night. We have some other things that'll be coming up down the road starting next week, and we'll run through that schedule as we get everything firmed up. But lots of local and Penn State sports and football coverage for you. By the way, Penn State women's soccer off to a 2-1 start. Will host West Virginia tonight, 7:30 kickoff at Jeffrey Field, as the Nittany Lions look to set the tone for this Penn State West Virginia weekend. We will take a break here, and we are back with more on our Thursday edition. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. We are at Quaker Steak and Lube in State College.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
The State College Spikes are hitting the field all summer long. Enjoy fun, affordable family entertainment as the future of baseball is on display in Happy Valley. Spike teams have something for everyone at the new-look Medler Field at LeBron Park. From great giveaways to fantastic deals, from special appearances to plenty of fireworks, all the way through September 3rd. For tickets, call 814-272-1711 or get the schedule and buy and download at statecollegespikes.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
And we welcome you back in here on this Thursday afternoon, 2 days away from
tell you, Jeff.
Penn State football. Cannot get here soon enough.
Somebody picked up on your shirt on the little picture behind us.
Yeah. Oh, they see the FE?
I said, why is that FE? And they said, well, that's what the metallic sign for iron is.
There you go.
And I was like, good for you. Good for you. One of the little hidden secrets of our little pictures there, Jeffrey. Yes, it's
we're very
cerebral. It is
with
absolutely upon us right now, man. Starting the night, it's just going to be great. It is the best time of year. I haven't had the smell yet. I know. Do you remember what I'm talking about? The smell. And waking up and
there's multiple smells that come with college football season.
I have two French bulldogs. I know exactly what the smells are. No, when you walk outside in the morning, when I take my dogs out at like 7:30 in the morning, I haven't had that like it's autumn.
See, I did last week.
But this week's so hot.
Yeah, this week I have, but I'm like, man, there were a couple mornings last week. I'm like, oh yeah, football is in the air. This is going to be awesome.
I don't think I've ever done this in my life, but I actually had to close a window in our bedroom the other night sleeping.
Yeah.
It was so cold at night. Now, the last couple of nights, it's been in the 80s at night, and I hope that's going to break soon because
it was humid this morning, too. Man, was it
correct.
The air was thick.
The air was thick that day, my friend.
That is a fact.
The air was thick. So what was it? 15 guys cut Tuesday. 15.
Yeah, a good number of them. Was it 10 that
I don't see
signed
how
back
many
on
they
here
did
with practice teams? I know. No, I have a list, and I must not have brought it in with me, but
I didn't see it. But did anybody jump to a new team on an active roster?
Not that I saw. Okay. Which doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Oh, I know.
But not that I saw. Tinsley signed back on. Hardy and Hamler signed back on.
That was surprising they both got cut, by the way.
Yeah, Clifford and King both signed back on.
Did McSorley get another shot with the Commanders, or no, they just dropped him?
I honestly, I don't. If he did, I didn't see it. I missed it. But
all our local websites were very good about mentioning how many guys got cut the other day, but they don't mention how many guys sign up for a practice squad. Isn't that a little?
No, there's a few of them that have that out there on with the practice squad signees, and there's obviously some fluctuation there. The Steelers also announcing, to the shock of absolutely nobody anywhere, that Russell Wilson will be the starting quarterback, at least for week 1, when the Steelers head to Atlanta to take on the Falcons to open
Thank God
up
it's a quick flight.
season.
He can do his calisthenics before and after the flight. He won't be doing it in the
it'll
middle.
be interesting. I just... I don't know.
It's so funny.
Guy. Well, and that just... And again, I think we talked about this, but I don't blame the Steelers. When you don't have a quarterback, you have to do everything you can, but you're not getting the franchise quarterback by just going out there and like they don't just pop up. You got to get either a little lucky with the draft or have that high pick, or you get a guy that catches lightning in a bottle type of situation. And the Steelers did not have a good situation. I think both Wilson and Fields were reaches, but I think they're reaches that if you're the Steelers, when you have that defense and you have some of the things in place you do, I think you need to – I think it is a smart move. I just don't think it's one that's necessarily going to pan out, but I don't think there was a move out there that they had available that it's like, oh, man, if only they had done this. That there's not, the guys that could be the difference makers this season aren't available is the issue. So we'll see. I think Wilson will do reasonably well in the system. He does not get me fired up about, as you say, he does not feel like a Pittsburgh guy.
No, not at all.
He doesn't. I don't know. It does not feel like a great match. I thought going into this that Justin Fields maybe just getting out of Chicago would be a real help, and maybe we'd see him flourish. And I know it's preseason, but he just looks so not good when it comes to throwing the ball and the decision making. And
I'm interested
the one thing
in watching
the one thing the Steelers can't do if they are going to be competitive, and I mean competitive for a playoff spot again this year, competitive in the division, they can't turn the ball over. And while I do think Justin Fields, I was watching the debate the other night, like should they use Fields? And this is my interpretation, they were kind of talking about the way I think Penn State is going to use Pribula. And I'm like, well, that to me would make some sense. The risk there, though, is Goon, he is such a turnover machine. Like, I get that he can do some things with his legs, but if he gains 5 yards and fumbles the ball, like that doesn't do you any good. So I will be curious to see if they do use him, like if you get in that 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 situation where you're just trying to get that yard, you can get him out there and see if you can get some space. But, man, you've got to, like, hang on to the ball and make the right decision. And I just don't have a lot of faith in him from what we've seen now. And both in the preseason here with the Steelers and in the course of his career that's and I'll tell you this, if they do use him along those lines, the way I think Penn State is going to use Bo Pribula this year, he better not turn the ball over, or it's going to be a very short-lived experiment with, inserting QB2 from time to time.
Like I said, I'm interested in watching how he does as the backup. And that's when you're a backup, that is a whole different routine that you have than being the starter. You are, you are the scout team quarterback. and all the plays being run in practice are run by the first team. So Justin Fields is not going to get those repetitions that he was getting in the preseason. I want to see how he will handle that himself, because he's not exactly coming off as a great team guy type of attitude. I mean, from everything you hear from Chicago, he was the last guy in and the first guy out of the building. I mean, that's like the anti what a quarterback should be. Well, it was about him, and I'm interested to see how he is as a backup. Because a backup, I mean, I do not want to say this name, but Colin Kaepernick had the talent to be a backup quarterback in the NFL. The problem is he wanted to be paid as a starting quarterback, and he would be a locker room cancer because it would be too much attention being drawn to him. So it's going to happen in Pittsburgh. They're going to be in Justin Fields. They're going to have a microphone in his face after every practice. Do you think you should be starting? And then it's going to start. If he doesn't handle it right, but I think Tomlin does such a good job. Yeah, that's one of Tomlin's traits is very good at, and that is the locker room stuff. He's very good with the locker room.
He is, and I just don't. We'll see. I mean, it certainly could become an issue if Wilson struggles. I guess my expectation going into it, I don't think Wilson is going to be awful, but I don't think he's going to be they need something special at quarterback, as most teams do, as almost all teams need very good at the very least to be a championship contender. And I think the Steelers feel, and I'm with them, I think they feel like they have a defense that is championship worthy. And they just need the offense to do enough to really, it doesn't have to be the Kansas City Chiefs or even the Miami Dolphins offense. It just needs to be good enough. I'm just not sure that it is going to be that. And it's not going to be just Russell Wilson or the quarterbacks. The offensive line, I just don't think is where the Steelers need it to be in order to be, again, a contending team, a team that I think they're going to have a very difficult time. I don't think it's off the table, but I'm not expecting them to get to the 10 wins, to double-digit victories this season. I just think that division is so difficult, and I think the quarterback play in comparison, like I said, I don't think it's going to be awful. I think it's going to be middle of the pack, 15 to 20 in terms of efficiency, passing, and all that. But with that offensive line and running game, I just don't think that's going to be enough. And
is the center out for a considerable amount of time with his?
They're saying 4 weeks. So
that's good.
Yeah, we'll see if that actually plays out.
If he's out for the year, that's going to be an issue from the start.
But I think that the whole Ayuk situation is just bizarre too. We're going to be traded. We're not going to be traded.
On the table?
It's still. I mean, they have no deal. Ayuk. The 49ers are an interesting. Both Ayuk and Trent Richardson right now are. Not playing. Right.
The left tackle,
not.
How do you know that? I mean,
oh yeah, it's been.
Ayuk has dominated the media so much with this holdout that I didn't even know that Trent Richardson was holding out.
Yeah, and this is shaping up to be a potentially very problematic season for the 49ers. Now, watch this be the year where they everything. But it does not feel it's great. But going back to the Steelers,
Trent Richardson is not going to be a Super Bowl winning team.
So the problem is Joe Burrow is obviously with the Bengals, and if he's healthy, clearly they have the quarterback edge over the Steelers, and Lamar Jackson certainly and the Ravens have the quarterback edge. I do not think Deshaun Watson is. There's a lot of people that are projecting. There's a lot of people like me that are projecting this is just not going to work out. But I have seen, I mean, there's, well, people know his talent now and this and that. I'll believe it when I see it, kind of like Penn State, Ohio State. I'll believe Penn State can beat Ohio State now when I actually see it occur. I'll believe that Deshaun Watson is a leader at quarterback when I see it, when I see him being the reason Browns teams are winning games over the Bengals or
we got prediction on Tuesday. We won't be here next Thursday, but we got to do our predictions. I'll get the team totals for us for next week.
All right.
I mean, every bookie in America is waiting for your decisions there, Jeffrey.
I know it.
I did have a friend at home who was a bookie. He said that the phone used to ring off the hook as soon as Lee Corso made his picks on Saturday. He said it was like clockwork. Nothing. He makes a ring. I'm sorry, not a B word. I don't know.
By the way,
I do not know those people.
Jessica Pegula is just see here in second round action at the U.S. Open. Right now down 4-3 in the first set. Of course, the daughter of Terry Pegula, who is responsible for Pegula Ice Arena and the palace that is for Penn State hockey. And Penn State now knows its schedule for the upcoming season. That was released yesterday for hockey, and
the wrestling came out too this week, right?
It's the
dates haven't came out, but who were wrestling's come out, right?
Pretty special. Did it all come out?
Not the dates, but it said who's home and who's away. Iowa's home, Michigan's home.
The Big Ten portion of the schedule.
Yeah.
Or was it? Okay.
That's all I saw. Now I think about it. I think Maryland was also at home.
Yeah.
Buckeyes are on the road.
Yeah.
How many schools in the Big Ten wrestle? All of them?
All of them except for the Pac-12 schools.
How do they decide?
So 14 to answer the question, but
how do they decide which 14? You don't wrestle them all, right?
Correct.
Is it just
it's I don't know if it's a computer generated or the office, but that it's
just happens that there's never a time where Iowa and Penn State don't wrestle
through. No, there have been seasons
a couple years
where they
ago. I remember
wrestle.
that.
Yeah,
and it just seems like every time we wrestle, we'll wrestle them there too.
They get
this one's at home at least.
Yeah, they get rotated
dates
off.
And then, have you heard anything about that Beaver Stadium wrestling thing?
No, and
that chilled pretty quick.
What I'm hearing, so I think the legit, like, there's interest there and there's a want to, but I think I think there were a lot of logistics involved that were going to make it difficult. Maybe not impossible, but difficult. And I don't know. I mean, I really don't have insight. There's an event tonight. Maybe I'll find out a little more. I don't know. But there's an event tonight where they're honoring the Olympians and the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, and they have their big golf tournament tomorrow. So might find out a little bit more about that tonight. But I don't. I think if it was happening, they would pretty much need to have the information out about it right around now, because you gotta for people to be able to make plans and to be able to get everything lined up for potential. Again, if you're going to do it, you want it obviously to be as big of a spectacle as you can. If you give folks a month and a half advance notice, again, some will make it work, but you're not going to get the full bang for your buck there. There's just people are going to make other plans. So I guess I'm kind of assuming that it's not happening. I guess I have not heard anything definitively either way. I'm just kind of assuming at this point that and I'm guessing it's just the logistics with some of the stadium renovations and kind of figuring out the best way to handle that. The timing, I think, maybe just not great for this season with everything else going on.
We had such a good plan, Jeff.
Very good plan.
Remember what I said what to do? I said that David can bring his Oklahoma State team in.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the meet, he can walk out and leave his, I know he didn't wrestle, but he can walk out and leave his shoes on it. Because, again, I love that tradition. And I don't think that David got his necessary due that he was done wrestling. The due that he deserves, I should say.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
It would be awesome that it would happen at Penn State, too.
We will take a timeout here. We are back with more of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We are at Quaker Steak and Lube. By the way, great place to come on down. If you are a sports fan, they have TVs all over the place. As we get into football season, college games, of course, will be on tonight. We'll have NFL action all throughout the season. U.S. Open is on down here. You can check out all of the sports action. Can do so, again, on all of the TVs. Great menu. They've revamped their menu a bit.
Oh, boy.
And we've both been trying some new options that are available here on the menu and haven't found one that they missed on just yet.
I do have to say something.
Yep.
They have a dill pickle rub. That is a spicy dill pickle. I don't know how the hell it happened, but it's awesome.
It is.
It is absolutely amazing. If you're a pickle person like my wife, Carrie.
Who isn't a pickle person? Come on. If you're not a pickle person, you need to reevaluate. Oh, you need to reevaluate where you've gone wrong.
Anti-pickleites, I'm telling you.
I hear you.
I know.
Very sad. Very disappointing.
Yes, it is. I don't associate with them, but there are anti-pickleites.
I can understand the non-association part.
Correct.
So, yes, come on down to Quaker Steak and Lube. Check it all out. Best service in the area as well. Best staff you're going to find.
You know what I say?
What do you say?
You know what I say?
I don't know what you say.
Literally the coldest beer in this town, too.
Oh.
And that's a big thing for me. Because I drink such a slow pace that I like to keep it,
You are known to just like to savor, sip, take your time, enjoy every drop to the utmost.
Oh, that was good.
That is definitely what the Deer Goon is.
That's how I roll, Ironhead. That's how I roll, buddy.
We are coming right back with more on a Thursday afternoon in mere minutes.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
The State College Spikes are hitting the field all summer long. Enjoy fun, affordable family entertainment as the future of baseball is on display in Happy Valley. Spike teams have something for everyone at the new-look Medler Field at Leblano Park. From great giveaways to fantastic deals, from special appearances to plenty of fireworks, all the way through September 3rd. For tickets, call 814-272-1711 or get the schedule and buy and download at statecollegespikes.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Haw-Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Haw-Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Haw-Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
Oh, I love those guys. We are back here at Quaker Steak Lube in State College as we get set for Penn State, West Virginia, in a noon kickoff. Well, probably be a little afternoon, really, on Saturday from Morgantown. Immediately after the game, Landon Tengwall and I will be hosting the post-game show after the whistle right here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. There are some, I think, really good games. Let's maybe take a look at some predictions, and we'll obviously delve into the Penn State West Virginia game and what we think is going to happen there. This is my community service to let you know which way to bet. I will give you who I think is going to win the game, and then immediately to go and bet your life savings on the other team. That's the way this works. Actually, I'm going to try to come out of the gate strong this year. So these are the 5 games.
Hold on, you were 0-3 last week.
I've picked to. That's not true. I actually ended up 2-1 on it.
What did you picked Montana State, or did you take New Mexico?
I took New Mexico
okay, that's fine,
to cover.
They were the dog, so
yeah.
I mean they were getting 13.5. So
yeah. No, I have the text I sent.
Okay, so you went 2. I was in my head. I was like, you went 0-3, so maybe you are hot.
I against the spread. I was actually 2-1, although I missed pretty badly on the Georgia Tech. Everything about the way I thought that game would play out did not play out.
88% of the country had West Virginia. I mean, had Maryland.
Had Florida
State winning that game.
Yeah, but I had them covering.
Well,
I thought they were going to win comfortably, I did not think Georgia Tech would be able to stop them pretty much at all. I really thought Florida State would be in the 40s when that game was over. And while I thought Georgia Tech, I thought both teams would score more than they did, but I was kind of thinking more in like the 49-31 range, that type of a game where it's going to be a track meet. And after the first 2 drives, I'm like, yep, boy, I know my stuff. I told you this is going to be a wild, high-scoring affair. And then that was not what it ended up being. So I'm going to I'm just going to pick the winners, not the spread. I have Rutgers over Howard. I have Rutgers over Howard, Goon. I have Illinois over Eastern Illinois.
Well, you're already at 28.5
I'm picking for 5 games. No, I'm just picking the winners. No, I'm only kidding.
Moneyline part. Oh, yeah, both are 28.5-point favorites that you just picked.
Well,
I hope that if either one of them doesn't cover or doesn't win.
Well, I'll tell you, if either of them I mean, Rutgers at home over Howard. Rutgers should have
Rutgers should have a
really good team.
Yes, they do.
And
they have a very good schedule.
Yes, the schedule is very favorable for them. I think Brett Bielema has a team that he likes, and I think that their line play is going to be good this year, like really good. I don't know that they have enough in the skill positions to I don't think they're going to be right there with Ohio State, Oregon, or Penn State. But as we were talking about earlier at the start of the show, I don't think it's that far-fetched for Illinois to be the team that surges in there and is 4th or 5th in the conference. And we'll see. Obviously, if they lose to Eastern Illinois, I'm going to change my tune on that pretty quickly. The game, again, to me, that is intriguing tonight in the Big Ten is that Minnesota-North Carolina game. Not intriguing in terms of I don't think either of those teams are going to be battling it out for their conference championships this year. But I think getting a gauge on exactly where either of those teams are at, but I mean, both of those programs, I think it's fair to say that neither is living up to what they thought they would be at this stage. If you go back like 3 years ago, I think both felt like, hey, we could be on the verge here of really being among the big boys in college football. And now it feels like both are on the verge of potentially imploding here in the upcoming season. So I'm just curious to see how that game plays out. Is there an app that I can listen to the station on? Thanks. I need to check on that, to be honest with you. I'm not aware of one, which doesn't mean there isn't one out there. Patrick, I will get that answer for you on Tuesday. I don't think so. And
you know about the Fox app, the 98.7?
Yeah. I will check on that. We also have the Deer Horse telling the Deer Goon to come to Picklesburg next year and enjoy, a Paul Skeens outing that'll be ruined by the bullpen. Come on down.
Libby going to be there, Horse?
Well,
that's all I'm worried about. I mean, I'm just hurt. I'm hurt that she's hurt.
Aren't we all?
Yes.
Aren't we all?
Who could do that to Livy? My Lord.
Nobody in their right mind.
The Horse, if my wife ever knew there was a Pickleberg, I didn't know.
She would be there in a heartbeat.
Lord. I sent a picture last week
Not
of
even
the menu. There is a pickle flatbread here now. I sent a picture of it to my wife, and she was like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. I mean, likes pickles that much.
One of the more eyebrow-raising matchups this weekend for me, not necessarily one I'm even
I'm still on the
interested
night.
in. Yeah,
I'm on the night. I mean,
go ahead.
Colorado.
Well,
they're playing North Dakota State, who is a power in FBS. So that is
FCS.
FCS.
Yeah,
exactly. I still
throw
call
the letters
one,
around.
I still call
one
one double A,
the way it should
so
be. Yeah.
Those guys are studs.
Yeah,
they play hard every game, and what a way for them to come onto the scene and beating Colorado. And everybody in the world wants them to. Trust me.
Colorado fans don't.
Well,
not everybody.
There's like 11 of them, pretty much. So, yeah, I mean, again, that Colorado is one of the teams I want to see falter this year because I don't like what's going on out there. I really don't. I haven't liked it from the start. I mean, my personal opinion has always been that Prime's always going to be Prime and out for Prime. And when stuff gets tough for him and his kids out there, I guarantee he's just going to pack up and leave.
Well, and they were talking about it on Fox the other day on our station, and I think it was in the Dan Patrick show, but I do think his whole I'm not going to do interviews with you if you've written or said bad things about me. It's just, and it's a really bad look, because one of the things that a coach, you hope, is teaching and getting his team to buy into is it doesn't matter what other people are saying. It matters what we do and what we believe in our locker room, and you've got to overcome adversity, and there are things out of your control, right? The famous control what you can control. Well, you can't control what other people are writing.
Yep.
And the attempt to do so is to me just kind of silly. Now, if you want to lambaste somebody for something you think is unfair, that's fine. But to just not talk to somebody, and the stuff that was written and said, I mean, this wasn't like out of line, over the top.
Nope.
And even then, I mean, I would say just knuckle down and, handle it, deal with it.
He handled it like a player. Now, does that sound right? Like, if you don't want to talk to the reporter, you just tell the reporter, I don't want to talk to you. You can't do that as a coach. You have to be able to take the criticism.
Yeah, I think it's a very bad look. Yeah. I really do. I just don't think it sends the right message to your team, and I don't think it's representing your organization, your program very well. But
I see he was still pushing ticket sales the other day.
Yeah,
season ticket sales, but I guess they didn't, because they sold out last year, and now they're they're trying to sell more this year, so obviously they didn't sell out. So, and that's the reason they bought him in. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, this is not an easy. Coaching is not an easy thing, not at all. Great players do not make great coaches, but they can.
Yeah.
But you literally cannot act like a player. You literally have to hang up your jock. Let's just say that when you're the coach, because you're treated different, you act different, everything about it is different than playing.
We mentioned 3 Big Ten teams in action tonight.
Yes.
Again, Rutgers and Howard will kick the whole evening off at 6 o'clock. Illinois takes on Eastern Illinois, and Minnesota faces North Carolina. There are 3
Carolina
teams.
I'm worried about because of the new quarterback. They're breaking in a new quarterback. I think that's why the point spread is only 2 points.
In the top 25 that are in action tonight as well. And I don't think any are going to be tested this evening. I think that'll be play out, fair to say. North Carolina State, which, as we mentioned earlier, in Raleigh, they are really excited about this team and feel like they could make a move in the ACC this year. They'll take on Western Carolina. That is a home game for NC State. Missouri, which is the highest ranked team in action, ranked 11th, takes on Murray State at 8 in Kansas. Andy Kotelnicki's old stomping ground takes on Lindenwood.
I actually had to look up.
And I think they're going to be okay. Oh, actually, there's a 4th team in action. Utah is at home. That'll be 9 o'clock Eastern time kickoff against Southern Utah.
The Kansas,
when you're starting to get into the
Utah's
directional schools in the Utahs and Idahos of the world, you're kind of. You better be winning those games if you're a top 25.
Jeff, if I catch you
projected
watching
program.
the Southern Utah game at a 40-point spread, there's a home for you. There's people who have to go away who do that.
Fair enough. Tomorrow night, there is a Big Ten team in action. It'll be Michigan State at home against Florida Atlantic. There are, what is this, 6 games.
You hit the nail on the head, by the way,
Also,
with Michigan State, and that is they have great facilities. They have top-tier Division I facilities, and they have a new coach coming in there, and we're going to see what they can do with that.
Yeah.
So they're a blank piece of paper, blank canvas right now.
Yeah.
No one knows anything about them.
Also tomorrow night, Wisconsin will be home against Western Michigan, and that'll be a 9 o'clock kickoff tomorrow night. And then on Saturday, noon kickoff, Penn State and West Virginia. We'll get to the prediction for that game in just a moment. A couple of other games that we'll be keeping an eye on. Iowa is going to try to survive the challenging season opener against Illinois State without Kirk Ferentz roaming the sidelines.
69-year-old Kirk Ferentz.
We'll see whether the Hawkeyes can get it done or not. I think you and I will both be keeping an eye on that Virginia Tech at Vanderbilt game just to kind of see how Brent Fry and company do in that season opener, and if they can get off to the type of start that I think they will, and that could set up maybe a pretty special season in Blacksburg. Other noon games in the Big Ten include Purdue at home against Indiana State and Maryland at home against UConn. And Pitt, which named its starting quarterback, the transfer from Alabama, will be home against Kent State. So you get a chance to check out the future Nittany Lion opponent, not Pitt, Kent State, in that one. And, of course, it'll be Clemson at Georgia. I would say that the consensus right now, if you added up everybody, all of the college football analysts nationally, I think Georgia versus Ohio State is probably the game that most people are expecting to see in the national championship. There are a bunch of other teams that are not everybody has it. I mean, that's not locked, but those are the 2 teams that most consistently come up as the national finalists. I think Oregon is probably next on that list right now. Texas is getting a lot of attention as we get toward the start of the season as to being a team that could make that kind of a run. I know Clemson is still very good. This game is at Georgia, and it just, I think at the line of scrimmage again, where Clemson, when it was going back and forth there with Alabama, it was the offensive and the defensive line, obviously great quarterback play as well, but it was the offensive and defensive line where Clemson was just hanging its hat, and they just don't have they have good lines. I'm not saying they've fallen off the face of the earth, but Georgia is big time up front on both lines.
And
I just don't think it's a huge game for Clemson right now.
Come back.
Yes, if they can win this one, it completely changes the perspective right now, which I think down there it is that we're very appreciative of Dabo, and he's still good. We've got it turned around a bit again, but it doesn't feel like they are a national title contender, at least going into this season nationally. I mean, they're ranked 14th, so on the cusp of top 12 go into the playoffs. We'll see. I think that one sets up very nicely for Georgia to open the season in impressive fashion.
Hey, Dabo's a heck of a coach, man. It really is, and we've seen crazier stuff happen.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
That game would not surprise me. So
it wouldn't shock me, but it would definitely surprise me if Clemson can go into Athens and actually win that game.
14-point dog too.
Yeah, that would surprise me. I have seen more surprising things on the football field, but that one would surprise me if Georgia does not win it.
By the way, the 3:30 game that actually blows my mind. A ranked Miami team versus an unranked Florida team.
In Gainesville.
Holy heck.
And a lot of people...
How bad has it gotten down there in Florida?
Are thinking Miami may be... I think if there's a consensus team that nationally it's like, well, this is the team that maybe people aren't listing in the top 4 right now that could crash the party.
Nope.
Miami is getting a lot of that attention.
Nope.
I'll be really curious to see how they fare. And I know Florida's not going to contend for an SEC title this year, but
crazy.
I don't know that this is quite the, especially in Gainesville, I don't know that this is quite the certainty for a Miami win that I think a lot of folks in Miami and a lot of folks nationally are making it out to be. I'll be very curious to see if Florida can't hang and make that a 4-quarter contest.
Unranked Florida. It is that bad. That's absolutely crazy to think about. Again, blows my mind. But you see me laughing in Miami thing, and then I think Miami is the most overrated program in history in the last 20 years. Absolutely.
Even more than Notre Dame.
And Notre Dame, what's the knock on Notre Dame? They always rank them early in the preseason, but they pull them down as fast as they can. That's the way I feel about Notre Dame. But they've had some. They overrank Notre Dame too. But I think that Miami has really done nothing in the last couple of years, and they got Cristobal there, and he talks a good game, and this and that. We're going to win up front. Offensive line talk, which is supposed to, but he's never done it for me. Never. Not at Oregon, not at Miami. So very interesting to see.
Yep. Couple of other games that will be very interested to see how they play out here on the weekend. We talked about that USC at LSU game, Goon, I just want to see if USC shows any signs of improvement on the defensive side. And that'll be a good test out of the gate on the road. The travel that USC is doing. Now, Penn State goes, of course, to USC, but the travel that USC is doing this year is that is going to be one of the storylines.
They knew it coming in.
All of those Pac-12 teams.
Imagine how bad the Pac-10 was.
Yeah, how they are able to manage that.
Yeah.
And whether or not they are able to go out and acquit themselves. And it's going to be hard to know in some of those situations, right? Well, did the travel play a role, or is it just that there's that much difference between an Ohio State or a Michigan? Like Washington, I don't think it's going to take long for them to get back into the mix, but I think they are in for a really rough year this year. I think they're going to be in for a rough year if they were in the Pac-12 as it was constituted. They just lost a ton of talent. You have the new coach.
Yep.
You had a lot of people leave the program because of that transition. I think they're positioned well to make a move fairly quickly back up.
Yep.
But I think they are in for a really rough first
My friend
year.
from Washington texted me yesterday. He goes, "Really? Defending national championship runner-up is power ranked 16th in the Big Ten."
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, dude, you lost everything. You lost everything." And in my opinion, they're just as good as they were 3 years ago. You know what I mean? I think the last 2 years with Penix being out there was a huge boost for them. But you got to replace him, and he replaced him. And there's a lot of people who left when DeBoer went to Alabama. I mean, a lot of people left.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. But I want to talk about, like, these are Pac-12 teams coming into the Big Ten, and I'm trying to tell Entman yesterday. I'm like, Steve, dude, like every week is a dogfight. I mean, the Pac-12 is not new. It's not slap football. And I'm like, yeah, but the Big Ten is super physical. It's physical, and it's physical every day. You play Indiana, and it's physical. You play Purdue, and it's physical. You're not playing Washington State or Oregon State, and like they're not super overly physically tough teams. And I'm like, dude, you gotta prepare. There's 12 games, and you got 9 of them against, it's a tough haul. It is a tough thing to do with playing the Big Ten.
It is going to be interesting to see. I think Oregon is legitimately well prepared, ready. I think their line play. I don't think, and we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think they're going to have a problem making the adjustment. I just think
their uniform reveals.
Well, I'm very excited to see that.
I hope to smack the colors right off of them when we play them.
Texas A&M Notre Dame Saturday night.
Huge, man. What fraud and a fraud? So who's a bigger fraud?
Yeah, I think A&M. I love the coaching hire there, and I think Elko is going to get them into where they thought they were going to be under Jimbo Fisher. I just think he does a better job at developing the culture, creating the selflessness that I think it takes to be big time successful.
Mm-hmm.
I really am curious to see this game. I think Notre Dame is legit this year in terms of the talent.
I like Freeman. I really do as a coach.
Freeman. I really
like him as a coach. I like him as a human being. All of that stuff.
I think this is a really tough spot though for Notre Dame going in there. To me, this is the game I'm expecting to be the most fun watch of the weekend, the one I'm most interested outside of the Penn State West Virginia game to see. And I'll be rooting for A&M. I think on the road down there is, again, a really tough spot for Notre Dame. But
I haven't looked. Does Notre Dame have like that typical Notre Dame schedule?
Yes. Where
so you need A&M to kick them out.
Yes.
To pop them early.
Yes.
But I don't want the SEC. It just means more.
Well, I think, unfortunately, it is going to be that type of a year because I think Texas is legit. Georgia, I have a suspicion might be okay. I think Alabama, they're ranked fifth. I think DeBoer is. I think there are some people that are undervaluing how good of a coach he really is.
We just talked about it.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to. they might not win the national title this year, but I don't think there's going to be a very substantial drop-off, and I think they will be right back. And I'm not rolling them out as being a contender this year, but I think next year and for the foreseeable future, they're going to be right there going toe-to-toe with Georgia again in the SEC. And I think there will be other teams. I think Texas will be in the mix this year. Tennessee's another one that I'm curious to see kind of how that thing evolves this year for the Volunteers, whether they can take that kind of next step and be a playoff contending team. LSU, where do they fit into that picture? And Oklahoma opens up with Temple, which is that one just raises my eyebrows a little bit. It's like, really, Temple? What do you? Now they'll get a good payday out of it, but I think Oklahoma is going to be Oklahoma and USC in terms of the conference switch. Where do they actually fit in? And depending on where they fit in this year, like how difficult is it for them to climb in then to true contention? Like Oklahoma, I think is a good team, and I think it's a great program, but do I think they're displacing Georgia or Alabama anytime real soon? I don't. Now, maybe, again, we'll see how it all plays out. Yep. I think Texas is better positioned right now. So you have those three right out of the gate. And then, you throw in LSU, Tennessee. Yeah. If Florida makes the coaching change that everybody's expecting now that will happen going into next year, how quickly does it take them to get back in? And then even some of the kind of also-rans that we think of right now, like in Arkansas, I'm really fascinated with Oklahoma and USC. I've seen predicted as high as 4th in the Big Ten this year. I don't see them. While I think they will be good, and I think very good offensively, I cannot imagine they're going to make the type of dramatic improvement they need to on the defensive side of the ball in 1 year to be a top 4 or 5 team in the conference. But if they're not, and especially if they're like 8th, 9th in the conference, well then, again, it becomes a big challenge to make that move up when you look at the other coaches and some of the programs. Again, I think Brett Bielema is building something good in Illinois. How good? I don't know.
What's his debatable. But I want to go back to the SEC and talk about Texas and Oklahoma, what they have to learn. What I just said about Washington and the Pac-12 teams coming in. You're not playing West Virginia, Texas Tech, Kansas State. You are in a dogfight every week in the SEC. Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Tennessee, they're the lesser runs of the SEC. And they have the ability to knock either one of those teams off any day of the week.
Yeah.
So, that is what I'm interested in. They need to change their culture, and their culture it's not smash mouth football. It really, truly isn't there. I mean, not much defense got played in the Big 12. So, and the SEC, it was getting towards that, but there were still a very physical. Well, the teams that dominate the SEC are the physical teams. So Oklahoma and Texas got to change their game plans.
Thank you to the listener down here that, and I did know that and misspoke, was not thinking about it, but that Georgia Clemson game is in Atlanta, not in Athens.
And it's on Saturday, so they could do Chick-fil-A. Get open up and won't be closed on Sunday.
You go. Got to do Chick-fil-A.
Well, I got Penn State by 20+.
So you have Penn State 20+.
And I know West Virginia, this is a huge game for them, and they have been watching how we ended the game last year. At the time, I personally did not appreciate what James had done last year, but I can understand when he said it's my second team out there. I want to see them do some stuff. So it is what it is.
I have it Penn State 34-17. 34-17. So not quite your 20+, but I do have it 17 for the Nittany Lions.
My wife can call Ironhead and help him draft tonight.
We have the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club has their event with the Olympians tonight that I'm hosting. So I'll be doing the auto drafting.
Oh Lord!
Again, it's kind of part of our.
I
draft
hope you get
tradition,
nothing but Cleveland Browns, Ravens, and Bengals.
Well,
that's all I hope you get.
Looking forward to the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club event tonight, and they'll have their golf tournament tomorrow. Again, I have at Penn State 34, West Virginia 17. We'll talk to you Tuesday about all of the college football opening weekend. Until then, dear listeners, be good and be safe.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see ya in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
The State College Spikes are hitting the field all summer long. Enjoy fun, affordable family entertainment as the future of baseball is on display in Happy Valley. Spike teams have something for everyone at the new-look Medler Field at Lebrano Park. From great giveaways to fantastic deals, from special appearances to plenty of fireworks, all the way through September 3rd. For tickets, call 814-272-1711 or get the schedule and buy and download at statecollegespikes.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon